The galaxy had grown quiet in some ways, but in others it was alive with fear. Wars had raged for centuries between the Velkar Dominion and the coalition of 9 races. Stars had burned. Entire planets had been scorched. And yet none of the younger species could remember the days when humans had walked the stars. To them, humans were a story, a myth told in old records and dusty archives. They say they were unstoppable, Admiral Tisira Velrin said, her voice low as she observed the holographic battlefield. Her forearms moved swiftly, adjusting the display of Outpost Varn, the latest site under attack by the Dominion. They say a single human fleet could hold off a dozen Dominion squadrons and survive. Can you imagine such creatures? Her second-in-command, a Carthian officer named Loran, shook his scaled head. Legends only frighten children, Admiral. Humans are gone. It has been thousands of cycles. None remain. We face the Dominion with what we have, not stories from a lost past. Tisira studied the starfield outside the window of the flagship Aurelia. The Coalition fleet was outnumbered. The Dominion's assault was precise and brutal, and the small fleet defending Varn was struggling. Her heart sank as cruisers were torn apart, their lights extinguished one by one. Then amid the chaos of battle, sensors picked up something unexpected. A small object emerged from a warp point near the edge of the system. It was too small to be a fleet ship, too slow to be a Dominion drone. Unknown transport, a technician reported. Its power signature is weak. It's moving toward the battlefield. Sira's 4 eyes widened. She leaned closer to the display. Move the sensors closer. Identify it. Impossible, the technician replied. The engines are old, pre-galactic war technology. It shouldn't even be able to survive in a combat zone, yet it's holding together perfectly. The small ship weaved through enemy fire as if it were invisible. One Dominion fighter tried to intercept it, but the pilot was too slow. The little human craft dodged, slipped, and struck back with precise energy blasts. One by one, the Dominion fighters fell. Impossible, Loran muttered. No living being could do this. The maneuver patterns, they defy logic. Tisira felt a shiver run through her. It's a human. She whispered the word as if speaking it aloud might summon the impossible into reality. She had never seen one, never touched one, never even believed they could exist. Yet there it was. A human, cutting through the Dominion fleet with speed, accuracy, and courage that no machine, no AI could replicate. The human didn't speak. There was no AI assistance. Only the faint signal from the ship, simple and calm. Human pilot requesting field clearance. The message caused a stir among the coalition leaders. Some laughed nervously. Others frowned, unsure whether it was a trick, a Dominion trap, or madness. But Tisira's instincts told her it was real. Give it clearance, she said finally. We need every advantage we can get. Let it join the defense, the human ship responded instantly. With an almost impossible speed, it moved to intercept the largest Dominion frigate. Tisira watched as it spun through the void, dodging missiles and energy blasts, and struck the enemy ship in its exposed engines. The frigate exploded in a cloud of fire, and the Dominion forces faltered. Even the youngest officers stopped to stare. It's like watching a legend come alive, whispered one of them. The stories were true, but the human skill was more than just mechanical. There was something about the way the ship moved, almost as if it anticipated every action the enemy would take. Every maneuver, every dodge, every strike. It spoke of experience and courage beyond measure. Tisira's heart beat faster. Could one human really make a difference? The Dominion commander aboard his flagship, the Obsidian Maw, noticed the small ship. He stopped ordering attacks, staring at the display. What is this? He growled. It shouldn't exist. Pull back! Retreat! Do not engage. But the human didn't retreat. It moved like a force of nature, striking at key points, slowing the Dominion advance. Tisira realized that it wasn't just a fighter. It was a symbol, a reminder of something the galaxy had forgotten. Admiral, Loran said quietly, look at them. They hesitate. They fear this one small ship. One human. Can you believe it? One human has made the enemy hesitate. Tisira nodded slowly. She could feel the hope rising among her fleet. It had been so long since they felt hope. They had been ready to accept defeat, to surrender, to abandon Varn. But now the impossible had appeared. The legends were real. The human ship darted toward the center of the battlefield, weaving through the heaviest fire. Sierra held her breath as it struck another Dominion cruiser, disabling its shields and engines. The explosion illuminated the void, casting the fleet in stark light and shadow. Coalition ships cheered over the comms, rallying their courage. For the first time in centuries, the name human carried meaning again. Sierra remembered reading about humans in old Coalition archives, about their courage, their ingenuity, their ability to survive against impossible odds. They were supposed to be extinct, she said aloud, almost to herself. And yet, here they are. The human didn't communicate more than necessary. No speeches, no warnings, only action. Sierra realized that was the difference between humans and the other species. Other races calculated, argued, and hesitated. Humans acted. They relied on instinct, skill, and courage. Whoever this human is, Sierra said, they're changing everything. Our fleet, the Dominion, the entire battle, and she was right. Even as she spoke, Dominion ships began retreating in confusion. Their precision attacks faltered. Their morale faltered faster. The human's presence had turned the tide, not through numbers, not through technology, but through sheer audacity and skill. Sierra felt a strange mix of fear and admiration. Fear because she didn't know who this human was or what they were capable of. Admiration because she realized the truth of the old legends. Humans weren't just fighters. They were something more. They were a force the galaxy could not ignore. As the human's small ship moved toward the Coalition flagship, Sierra prepared to contact them. She didn't know what to say. How could one greet a living legend? The voice over the comm was calm, steady, almost gentle. I am here to help. Tell your fleet to follow my lead. It was simple, direct, powerful. Sierra nodded, unsure if the human could see her, but feeling the weight of their presence all the same. Understood, she replied. Around her, the Coalition fleet straightened, renewed determination shining in every officer's eyes. For the first time in a long time, they believed they could survive, and maybe, just maybe, they could win. The human ship paused for a moment, hovering like a shadow in the void, then moved forward into the heart of the Dominion formation. Sierra and her officers watched, breathless, as it struck with precision and courage that no algorithm or AI could replicate. And in that moment, Sierra knew the truth. Humans were not just legends. They were warriors, and one had just returned to remind the galaxy of that fact. For the first time in centuries, hope was alive again. The calm of space was shattered by flashes of light as the Dominion fleet recoiled from the human strike. Coalition ships, once hesitant and disorganized, began moving with renewed purpose. Officers who had expected defeat only moments ago now found themselves inspired by the small, lone figure whose ship danced through the battlefield with impossible precision. Admiral Sierra Velren leaned forward, her four eyes fixed on the small display showing the human craft. Every move it made was unpredictable yet devastating. Every strike it delivered was precise, crippling Dominion cruisers and fighters in ways that no tactical algorithm could have anticipated. Report, Sierra ordered, her voice steady despite the excitement rising in her chest. Lieutenant Harrow, her communications officer, tapped the controls. Admiral, it's unlike anything we've ever seen. The human is manually piloting. No AI assistance. No advanced shields or weapons. Just skill and something else. Something I cannot explain. Instinct, Loran said quietly, his scaled hands folded over the console. Only humans had this. Legends said they could anticipate moves before they happened. Could that be real? Sierra finished his sentence for him. It is real, and it is saving us. The small human ship continued weaving through the battle, dodging plasma bursts and missile fire that would have obliterated any normal craft. Coalition pilots watched in awe. Some whispered prayers. Others simply stared, unable to comprehend what they were seeing. Even Sierra felt a sense of disbelief she could not shake. Then the human did something no one expected. With a sudden, daring maneuver, the craft slipped past the front line of Dominion ships and targeted the flagship, Obsidian Maw. The massive vessel loomed like a dark mountain in space, firing streams of energy that could tear smaller ships apart. Yet the human approached without fear, twisting and spinning through the storm of fire. Impossible, muttered Lieutenant Harrow. It should be destroyed. But it wasn't. The human released a series of carefully timed plasma charges, striking weak points on the Dominion flagship's engines. Explosions rippled across the obsidian maw, and for a brief moment it faltered. Sira felt her heart race. This was more than skill. This was bravery beyond reason. One lone pilot, outnumbered in a fragile old ship, had challenged the mightiest vessel in the Dominion fleet, and survived. "Prepare to hail it," Sira ordered. "I need to know who this is." The communications officer tapped a few controls and sent a signal. The response came instantly. Human name, Callan Ward. Objective, assist coalition. Status, ready. The voice was calm, almost casual, yet carried a weight of authority that made Sira shiver. There was no arrogance, no fear, only quiet confidence. "Callan Ward," Sira repeated, tasting the name. Could he really be dehuman? Loran shook his head. "We thought humans were extinct. All records, all fleets, gone. If this is one, it's impossible that he survived alone for so long." Yet there was no denying it. The human ship moved with purpose, striking the Dominion forces again and again. Coalition ships rallied behind him, forming defensive patterns that they had never used before. It was as if the human knew exactly how to inspire them, where to lead them, and when to attack. "Admiral," Hero said, her voice trembling with excitement. "The Dominion is pausing. Their fighters are falling back. They are confused. They don't know what to do." Sira nodded. She understood. The human had done more than attack. He had changed the psychological balance of the battle. Fear and hesitation, once the Dominion's greatest weapons, were now their weakness. "Send instructions to our pilots," she said firmly. "Follow Callan's lead. Let him show us how to fight." The fleet responded immediately. Ships aligned, mimicking the humans' daring maneuvers, weaving through enemy fire in ways that seemed illogical but worked perfectly. It was chaos, controlled chaos, and it gave the coalition the advantage. In the midst of this, Callan's ship approached the coalition flagship. Sira watched as it docked, its small size in stark contrast to the massive vessels around it. Moments later, the hatch opened. Out stepped a human, tall and lean, wearing simple armor that showed signs of wear. Scars marked his face and hands, evidence of battles fought long ago, yet he moved with calm precision as if he had done this 1,000 times before. "Admiral Velren," Callan said, his voice steady. "I am here to assist. I need only command for the moments when you require it." Sira stared at him. This human was not boastful. He did not demand respect. He simply existed, and yet his presence alone commanded it. You are real," she said finally. "You survived. After all these cycles. You are a human." Callan nodded. "Extinct does not mean gone. Only forgotten. My people survived. We have watched, trained, and waited. Now the galaxy needs us again." Hero and Loran exchanged glances. Could it be possible that humans had hidden themselves for centuries, preparing for a time like this? The thought was almost incomprehensible. Callan's eyes swept the room, taking in the officers and their equipment. "Tell your fleet to trust me. Follow my movements. We can turn this battle." Sira hesitated, then nodded. "We will follow. But how can we trust one human against the Dominion?" "Because," Callan replied calmly, "humans do not fight for survival alone. We fight for each other. Once you understand that, the impossible becomes routine." And with that, he returned to his ship. The hatch closed, and he launched back into the storm of battle. This time, the coalition fleet followed him fully. Every strike, every maneuver, every daring attack was coordinated with Callan at the center. Dominion cruisers fell. Fighter squadrons were destroyed or scattered. The tide of the battle shifted so rapidly that many officers could hardly believe what they were seeing. In one moment, Callan led a small squadron through a narrow passage between two Dominion frigates, emerging behind the enemy formation to deliver a crippling blow to the rear engines. The Dominion flagship staggered under the attack, its firepower diminished and its commanders panicking. "Remarkable," Sira whispered. "He moves like a force of nature." Even Loran, skeptical of all human stories, could not hide his awe. "I have read the archives," he admitted quietly. "But seeing it, feeling it, humans are unlike any other species. Their courage, their intuition, it is extraordinary." Callan didn't fight for glory or recognition. He fought because he understood something that the galaxy had forgotten. Strategy alone does not win battles. Spirit, courage, and the will to act when others hesitate. These were humanity's greatest weapons. As the battle raged on, Dominion forces began to retreat. Their once confident lines were broken. Pilots reported confusion and fear among enemy ranks. For the first time in generations, the Dominion hesitated in the presence of a single human. The Coalition fleet, guided by Callan's maneuvers, pressed their advantage. Outpost Varn, once on the brink of destruction, now stood firm. Ships repaired in real time, shields reinforced, morale soaring. The small human ship darted between battles, striking precisely where needed, inspiring alien pilots to perform feats they had thought impossible. Finally, as the Dominion began their full withdrawal, Tessira's communications officer spoke again. "Admiral, it's over. They are retreating, thanks to the human, thanks to Callan Ward." Tessira exhaled slowly, relief washing over her. She turned to her second-in-command. "Prepare to welcome him aboard properly. We need to know everything. Who he is, where he comes from, and how he survived." Loran nodded, still watching the empty starfield where Callan's ship had vanished. "A legend, Admiral. And not a story this time. He is real." In the quiet aftermath, Tessira reflected on what she had witnessed. One human had faced an entire fleet of Dominion warships and survived. One human had turned the tide of battle and inspired a coalition that had almost surrendered. And the galaxy, which had long forgotten humanity, was about to remember what it meant to be truly courageous. Callan Ward returned to the docking bay, his armor scorched and his ship battered but intact. He stepped out again, calm, steady, and prepared to face the coalition leadership. He did not boast, he did not demand praise. He simply waited, knowing that his actions had already spoken louder than words ever could. "Tell me," Tessira said quietly, her voice filled with curiosity and respect. "How did humanity survive when all others thought you extinct?" Callan's eyes met hers. A faint, knowing smile appeared. "We survived because we never forgot. We trained, we prepared, and we waited for the galaxy to need us again. Now, that time has come." Tessira nodded, realizing that the galaxy was witnessing not just a human, but the return of a legacy long thought lost. A legacy of courage, skill, and hope. And in the heart of the storm, one human had reminded everyone that legends could come alive. The Coalition flagship Aurelia had survived the battle, but the air inside the command room was thick with tension. Outside, repair drones flitted between damaged ships, welding beams sparking against hull plates. Officers moved quickly, but none dared relax. Not yet. The Dominion was far from defeated, and the scars of the fight remained visible on every screen. Tessira Velrin stood at the center of the room, her four eyes focused on the human who now waited quietly before the command table. Callan Ward's presence was calm, almost unnerving. His armor bore scratches and scorched marks from the battle, and his ship, though battered, had already been repaired by automated systems and Coalition engineers. He exuded an air of quiet confidence, the kind that did not demand attention but commanded it anyway. "Tell us," Tessira said, stepping closer. "Who are you, really? Where did you come from? Humanity has been extinct for thousands of cycles. How did you survive?" Callan's gaze swept across the room, taking in every officer, every weapon, every ship. He paused, as if choosing his words carefully. "Extinct does not mean gone. Humanity survives in hidden systems, scattered across the galaxy. We trained, we prepared, and we watched. We waited for the day when the galaxy would need us again." A murmur ran through the officers. Many exchanged incredulous looks. One young pilot, barely more than a cycle old, whispered, "Hidden? For thousands of cycles." Callan nodded. "Yes, we avoided detection, learned from our mistakes, and ensured that if the galaxy ever fell into darkness, humanity could return." Tessira's voice was low but steady. "Why now? Why reveal yourselves only after all this time?" "Because the Dominion has grown too strong," Callan replied. "They are not just a threat to the Coalition. They are a threat to all life. Waiting was a risk, but patience has allowed us to survive. Now we are ready to act." The room fell silent. For centuries, humans had been considered a myth, a story parents told their children to inspire courage. Yet here was one standing in front of them, speaking with the authority of someone who had lived through battles and survived where no one else could. "Your people, your fleets," Tessira began, hesitant. "Are there more like you?" Cullen nodded again. "Yes, there are enclaves spread across secret systems. We have trained for centuries, learning the ways of other species, understanding the Dominion's tactics. We have prepared for this moment. Humanity has returned not just as warriors, but as a force to remind the galaxy what it once forgot. The Coalition officers shifted uneasily. Some were thrilled. Others were skeptical. Could they truly trust one human, let alone a species thought extinct? But Tessira's instincts told her that Callan Ward was more than reliable. He was extraordinary. Your actions on the battlefield, Tessira continued, were unlike anything we have seen. How did you survive out there alone?
No AI, no shields.
Just skill. Callan smiled faintly, a hint of humor in his eyes. Because humans fight with more than skill. We fight with courage, with instinct, with creativity. Machines can calculate tactics, but they cannot anticipate the impossible. Humans can. That is why legends say we were unbeatable. Loran, the Carthian officer, leaned forward. Unbeatable? We thought it was a story. Something to inspire pilots. Are you saying humans were really that strong? Cullen's eyes held his steady gaze. We were, and we still are. One human can change the tide of a battle, but together we are unstoppable. Tessira exhaled slowly, absorbing the weight of his words. If the legends were true, humanity's return could change everything. The Dominion had grown powerful, confident, and ruthless, but now the galaxy had a reminder, a symbol of courage and skill no other species could match. Then we must prepare, Tessira said, her voice firm. The Dominion will not retreat quietly. They will regroup and they will strike again. We need your guidance, your leadership, if we are to survive the next attack. Callan nodded, turning toward the tactical map projected in the center of the room. I will not command your fleet, Admiral, but I will show you how to fight. We will use what the Dominion expects against them. Their confidence is their weakness. They rely on fear and precision. We will make them doubt every move they take, for hours. Callan moved across the map, pointing out weaknesses in the Dominion lines, suggesting unconventional maneuvers and explaining strategies that had been lost to history. Coalition officers took notes furiously, their skepticism gradually turning into excitement. This is remarkable, Hera whispered to Loran. He's showing tactics from before the Great War. These are methods humans used when they first conquered the stars. Techniques no AI could replicate. Not AI, Loran replied softly, but instinct. Pure instinct combined with centuries of experience. It's astonishing. Tessira listened quietly, absorbing every word. She realized that Callan Ward was more than a skilled pilot. He was a teacher, a strategist, and a symbol. The galaxy had long forgotten what humans could do, but now, in the heart of the Coalition command, a living legend had returned to show them. Hours passed, and the room filled with plans, simulations, and battle strategies. Callan worked tirelessly, yet he remained calm. No urgency, no panic, only focus. Coalition officers began to see patterns in his thinking. Unconventional, bold, and always one step ahead of the enemy. As the meeting concluded, Tessira addressed him directly. Callan Ward, you have done more than fight. You have reminded us why humans were feared and respected across the galaxy. Your presence gives hope to every pilot in this fleet. The Dominion will face us again, but this time, they will face something they did not expect. Callan nodded. Hope is only the beginning. Courage is what wins battles. And humans, we do not surrender. We adapt, we fight, and we survive. Even as he spoke, alarms blared across the flagship. Sensors detected new Dominion fleets approaching, larger and more organized than before. The enemy had regrouped faster than anyone expected, and their flagship, the Obsidian Maw, still loomed as a terrifying threat. Tessira clenched her fists. They're coming back, and they're stronger. Callan's expression remained calm. Then we will be ready. Coalition pilots are brave, and now they know what humans can do. Together we will fight, and this time, we will not just survive. We will make the Dominion remember why humanity was once feared. As the fleet prepared for the next engagement, Callan walked through the docking bay, examining every ship, every pilot, every officer. He offered words of encouragement, advice on maneuvers, and even simple reminders to trust instincts. Alien pilots, once doubtful and nervous, now looked to him with awe and respect. Among them was a young pilot named Aran, barely older than a cycle. His hand shook as he prepared his fighter, fear evident in his eyes. Callan approached him quietly. Do not let fear decide your actions, he said simply. Trust yourself. Trust your instincts. You are stronger than you believe. Aaron looked up, eyes wide. But how can one person change all this? Colin smiled faintly. One person can inspire many. Courage spreads like fire. Once it reaches enough hearts, even the largest enemy cannot stand against it. Aaron nodded, feeling a spark of confidence ignite within him. He climbed into his fighter, now ready to face the Dominion with renewed determination. Across the fleet, similar exchanges took place. Colin Ward's presence was transforming the coalition. Where once doubt had ruled, courage now blossomed. Where once fear had dominated, determination now grew. Sierra watched from the command bridge, realizing that the human had not just returned as a warrior. He had returned as a symbol, proof that humanity's legends were not mere stories. They were real, and the galaxy would soon remember. As the sun rose over the horizon of Outpost Varn, casting long shadows across the damaged fleet, Colin Ward prepared for the next phase of the battle. The Dominion would return, stronger and more determined than before. But the human pilot, once thought extinct, now stood at the center of the Coalition's hopes. And as the first Dominion scouts reappeared on sensors, Tessera knew one thing for certain: the galaxy was about to witness the true return of humanity's warriors. The void around Outpost Varn was a storm of stars and fire. The Dominion fleet had returned, larger and more organized than before. Their cruisers gleamed black under distant suns, their fighters swarming like dark hornets. Every sensor in the Coalition fleet blared alarms, signaling the approaching destruction. Admiral Tessera Velrin stood on the command bridge of the Aurelia. Her forearms crossed, her eyes focused on the enemy. The human pilot, Colin Ward, stood beside her, calm and steady. Despite the overwhelming numbers, there was no fear in him. Only focus, only determination. They're bigger, Tessera said, her voice low, much bigger than before, and better coordinated. Colin's eyes scanned the holographic battle map. Size does not decide the fight. Confidence does. Their fleet is strong but predictable. They rely on fear, on overwhelming their enemy. We will turn that against them. Tessera raised an eyebrow. How? Colin smiled faintly. By being unpredictable. By being human. The Human Advantage Coalition ships moved into formation under Colin's guidance. His strategies were unconventional. Small squads weaved through enemy lines, striking weak points, then retreating before retaliation could arrive. Larger ships split into unexpected patterns, creating confusion among Dominion commanders. The Dominion flagship, the Obsidian Maw, roared into the battlefield, its energy cannons slicing the void. Dominion fighters darted forward to crush the Coalition squadrons, yet every attack was met with precision. Colin Ward's small human ship danced through the chaos, appearing where least expected, striking at critical systems, then vanishing. You are witnessing a human tactic, Colin told the Coalition pilots over the comms. Do not follow the expected path. Move where they do not think you will. Fight where they are weakest, not where they are strongest. Trust your instincts. The alien pilots hesitated at first. Many had never flown this way before. But they watched Colin, saw him survive impossible attacks, and found courage they had thought lost. Soon the entire fleet followed his lead. For the Dominion, the sight was terrifying. Their scouts reported chaos. They are moving unpredictably, one Dominion officer growled. We cannot calculate their patterns. The human, it is everywhere at once. Pull back! But Colin did not stop. He led small attack teams to cripple key Dominion cruisers. Coalition ships, inspired by him, began fighting with renewed confidence. Even the younger pilots, once trembling with fear, performed daring maneuvers that had no place in normal tactics. Striking the Obsidian, Colin's human instincts guided him toward the heart of the battle, the Dominion flagship. The Obsidian Maw was massive, a floating fortress bristling with weapons. Any normal pilot would have avoided it, but Colin saw its weakness, a tiny gap in the rear engines exposed due to a recent battle maneuver. Target the engines, he told a small squadron following him. One strike, perfectly timed, and we cripple them. The squadron hesitated. It's impossible, one pilot said. We'll be destroyed. Colin shook his head. Humans do the impossible every day. Trust me, now move. With precision, the squadron moved through the void, weaving past enemy fire. Colin's ship led the way, drawing attention, and then vanished, only to reappear behind the Obsidian Maw. Energy blasts struck the engines simultaneously. The massive vessel staggered, alarms blaring across its hull. The Dominion fleet faltered. Their flagship, the symbol of their power, was damaged, and their formation broke apart. Dominion fighters scrambled, unsure where to attack. The Coalition seized the moment. Ships pressed forward, striking with newfound courage. "Now," Sira commanded. "Press the advantage." Chaos and courage, the battle became a symphony of chaos. Ships of all sizes moved unpredictably. Fighters darted like swarms of fire, while cruisers created shields in impossible patterns. Dominion ships fell one by one, unable to adapt to the Coalition's new tactics. Callan moved like a shadow, appearing wherever he was needed most. He saved ships on the brink of destruction, led squads into weak points, and inspired alien pilots to believe in themselves. His courage was contagious. Fear no longer dominated the battlefield. Determination did. A young pilot, Aaron, barely more than a cycle old, found himself face to face with a Dominion fighter twice his size. Fear gripped him, but Callan's voice came over the comms. "Trust yourself. The impossible is your ally." Aaron followed his instincts, performing a maneuver he had never practiced. The Dominion fighter, confused, collided with a cruiser in the chaos. Aaron survived, his confidence soaring. All across the battlefield, similar acts of courage spread. The Dominion could not predict them. They could not stop them. Humans, thought extinct, had returned. And one human had reminded the galaxy that courage could overcome even the largest odds. The final strike, the Obsidian Maw, despite the damage, still posed a threat. Its energy cannons fired relentlessly, targeting the Coalition flagship. Shields strained under the force of the blasts. Tysera watched, realizing that without Callan they could not survive. "Callan," she said, "they will destroy us if we do not act." "Can you?" He nodded. "I can stop them, but I may not return." Tysera's heart clenched. "Do what you must. The fleet will follow." Callan's small ship accelerated toward the Obsidian Maw. His path was clear but dangerous. Enemy fire rained down. Missiles streaked across the void and energy beams cut through the darkness. Yet Callan moved with impossible precision, avoiding each strike. At the critical moment, he released a massive plasma charge directly into the flagship's core. The explosion rippled across the void, a brilliant light that blinded sensors and shook nearby ships. The Obsidian Maw shuddered, then broke apart in fragments. Dominion morale shattered. Their fleet scattered, retreating into the darkness of space. Coalition ships cheered across comms. Pilots who had expected death found themselves alive. Victory, once impossible, was achieved. Aftermath. The battlefield was quiet. Debris floated across the void, and repair drones moved to salvage what remained. Coalition ships, though battered, had survived. The Dominion fleet had retreated, humiliated and broken. Callan's ship drifted back toward the Coalition flagship. The crew of the Aurelia held their breath as he docked. The hatch opened and Callan stepped out. He was scarred and battered, but alive. His calm presence inspired everyone around him. Sira approached him. "You did the impossible," she said, her voice filled with awe. "You turned the tide of the battle. You saved us all." Callan smiled faintly. "I did what humans do. We fight when others hesitate. We act when others wait. But this is not about one person." The fleet fought bravely. The pilots found their courage. That is what wins battles. Loran, still in disbelief, muttered, "A single human changed the course of this battle." "Entire fleets fell, yet he survived," Callan nodded. "And the galaxy must remember. Legends are not just stories. They are lessons. Humanity has survived because we never forgot how to fight, how to inspire, and how to survive. Now the Dominion knows that humans are not gone. We are returning." Tysera's eyes shone with admiration. "Then we will follow you, Callan Ward. Show us how to fight, and we will not falter again." Callan looked toward the stars, knowing the war was far from over. More Dominion fleets would come. More battles would be fought. But now the Coalition had hope. And humanity had returned as a symbol, not just a warrior, but a legend made real. In the quiet after the storm, Tysera understood something profound. The galaxy had forgotten what humans could do. But one human had reminded them, and the echo of courage would spread far beyond this battle. The legend of humanity was alive once more. The void above Outpost Varn was quiet now, but not peaceful. The wreckage of Dominion ships floated like dark monuments, their twisted metal reflecting distant starlight. Coalition ships repaired themselves, crews exhausted but alive, finally able to breathe after the chaos of the battle. Admiral Tessira Velryn stood on the bridge of the Aurelia, her four eyes surveying the field. Her heart still raced with the memory of the fight. Around her, officers moved quietly, analyzing sensor data, preparing for potential counterattacks. Yet there was a feeling she had not experienced in centuries. Hope. Callan Ward, the human pilot who had single-handedly shifted the course of the battle, moved among the crew. His calm presence contrasted sharply with the chaos that had just passed. Though his ship bore scratches and scars, he was alive, steady and unbowed. Tessira approached him. "Callan Ward," she said softly. "You did what no fleet, no commander, no legend could have done alone. You turned the tide of battle. You reminded us of what humanity once was." Callan smiled faintly. "I did what humans always do. We act when others hesitate, we fight when others flee. But this is not about one person. Every pilot, every crew member played their part. Courage is contagious. The galaxy is full of it if you know how to find it." Tessira studied him. There was something deeper in his words, a weight of experience, of memory. "Your people are still out there?" Colin nodded. "Yes, humanity survives. Small enclaves scattered across hidden systems. We have trained in secret for centuries. We have prepared for a day like this. We waited for the galaxy to need us again. And now, that day has come." A murmur ran through the command crew. Many officers were stunned. Humanity, thought extinct, had survived in secret. And now? One human had returned to prove their legends were real. A galaxy-awakening word of the humans' victory spread faster than any message before. Coalition fleets in nearby systems received reports of the battle. Pilots and officers, long accustomed to fear and loss, listened in awe. One human pilot had faced impossible odds and emerged victorious. Entire fleets paused in disbelief, then renewed their commitment to fight. Tessira watched as transmissions arrived from other sectors. "They are asking for humans," a communications officer reported. "Other colonies, other fleets. They are searching archives, ancient records, looking for anything about humanity." Callan nodded. "It will not be long before others hear the truth. Humanity was never gone, only hidden, and now the galaxy remembers." Hero, Tessira's communications officer, shook her head in wonder. "To think, we doubted one human, one being, and yet they changed the course of a battle, inspired fleets, and reminded us what courage means." "Humans fight differently," Callan said quietly. "We do not just act with strategy or technology. We act with instinct, with creativity, with courage. These are things no AI or algorithm can replicate. That is why legends called us unstoppable. The Dominion's retreat, the Dominion fleet had retreated, but Tessira knew it was only temporary. The Obsidian Maw was destroyed, but their other fleets were regrouping. Dominion commanders would plan, strike, and attempt to reclaim lost territory. Yet Callan's presence changed the stakes. Dominion officers had now witnessed firsthand what a single human could do. Rumors spread across their ranks. Fear replaced confidence. The once unshakable Dominion now doubted themselves. Callan addressed the coalition officers. "They will return, and they may come stronger, but the difference this time is that the galaxy remembers what humans are capable of. We have not only survived, but we have reminded everyone of a truth they forgot. Courage can defy numbers. Spirit can overcome technology. And humanity. Humanity is not finished." Tessira nodded, feeling the weight of his words. This was more than a battle. This was the rebirth of hope. The human had reminded everyone, the coalition, the Dominion, and all who had doubted, that courage and skill could change the course of the galaxy. Rebuilding and preparation in the days after the battle, coalition engineers worked tirelessly to repair the fleet. Ships that had been damaged beyond belief were now operational. Pilots trained under Callan's guidance, learning tactics that had been long forgotten. Callan did not command in the traditional sense. Instead, he taught, guided, and inspired. Small groups of pilots practiced his methods, gaining confidence and skill with each exercise. The human's calm presence reminded them that even in the face of overwhelming odds, courage and intelligence could prevail. A young pilot named Aaron approached Callan after a training exercise. I never thought I could do this," he admitted, sweat glistening on his brow. "You showed me that I can fight, that I can survive." Callan placed a hand on Aaron's shoulder. "You always could. You just had to believe it. Courage is not the absence of fear, Aaron. It is acting in spite of it." Aaron nodded, determination in his eyes. I understand now. I will not forget. And he would not. Across the Coalition fleet, similar lessons spread. The young, inexperienced, and fearful had learned to trust themselves. Humanity's example had rekindled the spark of hope. A message across the stars, as the fleet prepared for the Dominion's inevitable return, Callan activated a hidden beacon on his ship. It sent a message in every direction, a signal meant to reach the hidden enclaves of humanity across the galaxy. The galaxy remembers.
Humanity is needed.
It is time to return. In distant systems, humans who had survived in isolation received the message. Eyes widened, hearts raced. For centuries, they had waited in silence, training, surviving, and preparing for a moment like this. Now one human had returned, proven their worth, and called them to action. Callan watched the stars, knowing the future was about to change. The Dominion would not give up easily. More battles would come, but for the first time in centuries, humanity was no longer forgotten. The legacy of courage Tessera approached Callan as he prepared to leave the Aurelia. You have reminded us what courage is, she said. You have shown us what humans can do. But what happens next? Callan's gaze was steady, looking at the stars beyond the viewport. Next, humanity returns. Small enclaves will join the fight. Other fleets will learn our ways, and the galaxy will know humans are not just a legend. We are a force to be remembered. Tessera nodded, understanding. Then the Coalition will follow you. We will fight and we will survive. Callan turned toward her. It is not about fighting alone. It is about inspiring others to act. Legends are born when courage spreads, not when one person survives. The galaxy is ready to remember. Now we will lead the way. A galaxy forever changed as Callan Ward's ship left the Aurelia, heading toward the unknown reaches of the galaxy. The Coalition fleet followed in renewed formation. Where once fear and hesitation had ruled, now courage and determination guided every pilot. Across distant systems, hidden human enclaves began to move, their ships leaving warp points long unused. Humanity was returning. The Dominion, though still dangerous, would now face a new reality. A species thought extinct, a force once forgotten, now alive, courageous, and united, and so, the echo of humanity spread across the stars. One human had reminded the galaxy of the impossible. One human had returned the courage that had been lost. And now the galaxy would never forget again. Callan Ward's legend was no longer a story. It was real, and it was only the beginning.